जितेंद्र, हाउ मेनी क्लासेस, अब तक कितनी क्लासेस हो चुकी हैं? लॉट ऑफ क्लासेस, ऑलमोस्ट मोर देन आई थिंक around 20-25 classes. Is I'm audible and visible? Shall I start? Just say yes so we can begin. Okay. So in last class we was discussing about what? In last class we have started our discussion focused on what? That was focused on cooperative banks, right? Cooperative bank. And in the cooperative banking, okay, I'll increase the size of the pen. Just give me a second. Cooperative banks, and I told you about how the cooperative banking was started, means I have explained you about history, right? Then politics, right? Or you can say politics related to this cooperative banking, right? Because government said that key cooperative banking is not working because it is having states are not doing properly, right? So union want their own involvement in the cooperative banking structure, especially in the administrative structure of the cooperative banking, right? So all these things I have explained. Then I went to structure of cooperative banking, right? So structure of cooperative banking, basically it is cooperative banking have two kind of the basic structure of this cooperative banking. One is for urban and other is for rural, right? For urban there is a single state multi state, but for rural they have went for what? They went for long term and short term requirement. Long term requirement and short term requirement, because in rural area the monetary demand, or you can say the banking services which is basically required in terms of what? In terms of agriculture and allied sector related requirement. Agriculture and allied sector related requirement. So that is why there are the two kind of the institution which are focused the long term requirement and those who are focused for the short term requirement, right? So just let's go to the structure and I'll explain the things from structure itself. Okay, so this is the cooperative banking structure of India, and you can also find the same file in the Reserve Bank of India's website. So I have taken, because a lot of explanation of cooperative banking structure in India is given in the different books. So it's better to take what is most authentic, that is of Reserve Bank of India, right? Reserve Bank of India. Sir, we can continue on YouTube. Why? What happened? Why you want to continue on YouTube, not here? Is there any issue? Is there any issue here? Buffering sometime. Okay. Okay, if anyone else is facing the issue, let me know. So I'll discuss with the admin team in this issue. If you are facing any issue, please let me know. I'll discuss with the admin team regarding this all the issues. But just let me know very quickly so that I can move to the means class. Okay, do one thing. We will do the class. At the end of the class, I'll discuss with you if you are facing any issue. I'll discuss with you. Then I'll share this thing with the admin team also. Okay. Now just focus on this part. Cooperative banking. Cooperative banking. I have taken this image file from the RBI, right? So this is why I have written here regarding the RBI. Don't be confused with any other thing. So this structure from RBI's website or RBI's authentic source, they have divided the cooperative banking means in India cooperative banking also of two type. One is urban and another is rural, right? So just first focus on the urban. We are not going to give too much time on the urban because we are going to discuss urban cooperative banks functioning is more or less similar to the commercial banks functioning. So there is no point to discuss in detail here. Just let's understand the structure and then we will go to the rural cooperative because you need to understand more things here, right? So they are basically divided into scheduled and non-scheduled. Means if you are not in the second schedule of RBI, then you are a non-scheduled and you are the scheduled bank. And you can see that the numbers of non-scheduled banks, right? So non-scheduled banks are huge in number, right? They are huge in the number, and they do not need too much, means you can say that ki they do not want to put under such a very high regulations under RBI, right? They have some administrative help from the state government. As administratively level they are being supported by the state government, so that is why there are huge number of non-scheduled banks because they don't feel that there is need to go in the schedule. Once you will be the scheduled bank, a lot of regulatory supervision will be come under the RBI purview. So there is a mushrooming growth of non-scheduled banks in India, right? Now the scheduled banks, they are function in the multi-state, they are function in the single state. I explain all this thing. Multi-state means every state have their own cooperative society structure, right? And as per their cooperative society structure under their cooperative society act, Cooperative Society Act, every state have its own structure. So if you are able to follow the terms and conditions of that state's structure of cooperative society, you can function in the different states. So there is no foundation for scheduled commercial banks, scheduled cooperative banks to be remain only in the single state. Because sometimes students feel that because you have to follow particular state's terms and condition, you can be functional in that state only. It's not like that. What you have to follow, the domain of this Cooperative Society Act of that particular state. So once you start following that terms and conditions, you can start functioning as a cooperative bank in that particular state also. Fine. Not audible. Not audible. It's not working on the laptop. So just give me a minute. I'll talk to Okay, sorry, it was mute from my side. So I spoke with the Ashok ji, and Ashok ji told me that ki, okay, please convey to the students. Let's continue in the app today. We will try to figure it out what possibly can be done in order to resolve this issue. Whatever you are facing in this application. I hope I'm audible and each and everything is clear. Shall I continue with the lecture from here? Okay. So I told you at the state level, they have to follow the terms and conditions put forward by the state. And if they are following the terms and condition of two state, they can work in the multi-state. If they are following the terms and condition of particular state, then they can function in the particular state only. In that way, they are multi-state or they are single state. Now, let's move to rural cooperative banks, right? And you can see that the number can see the number 96,508. That is the RBI data. This is the total number of rural cooperative banks in India. So there is a presence of rural cooperative banking at very grassroots level, right? At very grassroots level, and especially this short term. If you will compare the data of number of short term cooperative rural banking, it is what it is the biggest number, right? And here the structure is like pyramidal structure of this one. So it is like state cooperative, then it is district cooperative, then it is primary cooperative. So primary cooperative societies, they are basically focusing on what? They are basically focusing. Okay, I have one more PDF to show you. As I told you, every state have their own cooperative act, right? So there may be some changes, but not very much changes. There are small changes in cooperative banking structure of state of Tamil Nadu and state of Bihar. Right. There is no too much change. So what I did, I have taken one PDF of a particular state. So I'll explain it from there only. Right. But first, you should understand the basic things of this cooperative society structure for the short term. For the long term, I'll provide you another PDF. From there, I'll explain. Okay. So at short term level, there is a pyramidal structure. At top, there is a state cooperative. Then at the middle, it is a district cooperative. And then it is kind of what? It is a primary cooperative. In other way of explaining this structure, it is like this. At the top, there is a state level cooperative bank. Then there are the many districts. In every district have their own district cooperative. So these are the district cooperatives. District cooperatives. In every district cooperative have their own cooperative societies. Primary cooperative societies, and they generally work at they generally work at where? They generally work at Gram Sabha level. These primary cooperative society, they work at Gram Sabha level, right? So from Gram Sabha, you can go to what? District cooperative, and district cooperative is being administered by state cooperative. So state cooperative have basically what? That is an administrative entity. State cooperative is basically a administrative entity, and they supervise the function of what? District cooperative as well as primary cooperative. Whereas the district cooperative, this district cooperative have both kind of the function. They supervise the function of primary cooperative society, but at the same time they also fund larger scheme for agriculture purpose, right? So they also fund, but primarily they'll supervise the functioning of what? They'll primarily supervise the functioning of primary cooperative society. So if this loan or any kind of the financial assistance is being provided by the cooperative banks, then we have to see if it is a small scheme which can be implemented only at Gram Sabha level, right? It can be implemented at Gram Sabha level, then it is a primary cooperative society which is going to implement that scheme, right? But if scheme is a big and it is not just related to particular Gram Sabha level, then it is going to be administered by whom? Then it is going to be administered by district central cooperative societies or bank, right? And all the function of primary cooperative and district cooperative is going to be supervised by the state cooperative. And I think I didn't told you till then now, these cooperative bank and especially rural cooperative, they get a lot of financial assistance from NABARD. They get a lot of financial assistance from NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, at this level as well as this level, right? So that they get this financial assistance from NABARD in order to put all those schemes which are related to what? Which are related to the functioning of rural economy. NABARD provide the assistance. Sometimes government of India also provide the assistance for rural and other thing. So either government can go to the state route, then this money will come to the state, and from state it is going to be available for the district cooperative, and from district cooperative it is going to be available for the primary cooperative. Whereas other route is what? Government in consultation with the RBI, right? It is going to be for what? It is going to be for NABARD, and from NABARD, it is going to be available to district cooperative and primary cooperative, right? So you can see that the lot, if the NABARD role is going to increase through NABARD, government can go for directly to the primary cooperative and district cooperative. So it's not completely true that government do not have an influence over the cooperative banking structure. Government do have an influence on cooperative banking structure, but only at financial level. Only at financial level, not admin level. I'm talking about government of India. Is it clear? What I explained till then now? Is it clear? I explained about state cooperative, district cooperative, and primary cooperative. Is it clear? Okay, Satyam. Samrat. Okay. Okay, fine. So if it is clear, now we have to move towards what? We have to move towards the functioning of long-term rural cooperative banking. In the long-term rural cooperative banking, there is a two organization. One is at a state level and another is a primary level. Here, the requirement is of long-term financing. When we talk about the long term financing, there are the short term schemes and there are the long term schemes, right? So, for example, land development. Land development, more money is required. So, land development comes under this preview, the long term. Whereas, sometimes the requirements are small, like particular irrigation or to purchase the seeds or fertilizers or the milk industry. So, such kind of the requirements is being fulfilled by the short term structure, whereas where the money is being required to invest large money and it is being required to invest in the longer duration, then we have the structure in terms of long term, right? And in order to explain you how it is work, what are their primary functions, I have taken a example of particular state of Tamil Nadu, right? Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu's cooperative structure in the longer run, I have taken from their website, right? And they have explained in the very well manner their functioning. So I'm going to have this PDF so that you can understand in the better manner. So this is the structure of state of Tamil Nadu, right? And you can see that here the long-term credit structure, right? Long-term credit structure, and then they have short term in the terms of primary cooperative agriculture and rural development bank, and for the longer run they have what, state agricultural rural development bank, right? So here the prefix is what, Tamil Nadu. Here the prefix is Tamil Nadu. For the state of what, for the state of Uttar Pradesh, it is going to be what, it is going to be UPCSARDB. So only prefix is going to be changed, and maybe some small functioning are going to be changed, because I am repeating it again and again. Every state have their own cooperative society structure. So maybe some structural changes will be there, but in nutshell, their way of functioning, their way of doing the financial activities, the areas where they do finance, that is same. Some minor adjustment or changes as per the local requirement, as per the local rural economy, right? So for example, in the down south, there is a more rice cultivation, whereas in the north, wheat, right? So accordingly, maybe some structural changes are being there, and maybe some particular district where the cash crops are in focus. So accordingly, maybe there will be some changes. Otherwise, rest of the thing are almost same. So by understanding this Tamil Nadu's cooperative society structure at longer duration, primarily you will understand it for all the states in India, right? So you can see that their main functioning is what? Floating of debentures, receiving deposits, grant of loan to primary cooperative agriculture and rural development banks, means they are doing what? They are providing finance to this. They are providing finance to this. So this is one of the function, right? So floating of debentures means what? Floating of debentures means state government also need funds like central government, right? So central government need funds, state government also need funds, and these cooperative society also need funds, right? So in order to fulfill their fund requirements, right? In order to fulfill their fund requirements, acha, what is debenture? Can anybody tell me what is debenture without searching on the internet? Tell me what is debenture. Satyam, Samarth, Jitendra, Akshay. Answer. What is debenture? Acha, you know what is bond? Not getting any reply. Okay, fine. So bond and treasury bills. So it is short term up to 1 year, where it is long term. Issued by whom? Issued by government bonds, issued by government. If it is issued by what? Private, then they are known as bond. No prefix of government bond, only bond. And if it is of short term, then they are known as debentures. So they issue debentures, right? The main objective of Tamil Nadu State Cooperative Agriculture and Rural Development Bank is to finance primary agriculture and rural development bank. The bank undertakes following function to achieve above objectives. They flotation of debentures, receiving the deposits, right, and grant loan to primary agriculture cooperative societies. So why they flow debentures, right? Why they flow debentures? To get credit to finance them. They can take loans. When they are saying flotation of debenture, what it means, that flotation of debenture means they will what? They will take the loan, and from that loan they will fund or finance these, right? So for example, took the loan took the loan at the interest of 3% and provided that money to primary agriculture cooperative societies at the interest rate of 4%. So this is going to take the loan in the form of debenture at the interest rate of 3%, and then they will give this loan to them at the interest rate of 4%, right? And then they will return this loan. So 1% they are going to use in their administrative cost, and 3% they are going to return to those people from whom they have taken the loan. And in order to take the loan, they have floated the debentures, right? Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, so I have explained you about functioning of State Agriculture Rural Development Bank. Now we have to move towards primary cooperative agricultural and rural development banks, right? So just have a read. They means they are talking about the state of Tamil Nadu, so that's why they are mentioning 180 primary cooperative and rural development bank. The primary cooperative agriculture and rural development banks provide long-term loan assistance to farmers with the period repayment of 5 to 10 years, right? So there is a striking difference. There is a striking difference when they are providing the loans, when they are providing the loans, and when they are providing the loans. Their loan is going to of up to 1 year, whereas their loan are going to be from 5 to 15 years, right? So actually they focus means they provide the loan to the farming and non-farming things. Earlier they was providing the loan means these two, they are providing the loan for basically only agriculture and allied sectors, right? But the ambit of term rural economy. Earlier, the term which is known as rural economy, the term which is known as rural economy was limited to only agri and related sectors, agriculture and related sectors. That is the definition of rural economy. But since the liberalization, privatization and globalization, lot of other activities are also happening in the rural area. And if it is not happening in the rural area, there is an effort by the government, whether it is union government or the state government, to make rural economy more vibrant rather than just depending on agriculture and related sectors. So in order to fulfill that objective, government, state governments, especially some southern states government like one of the progressive state Tamil Nadu, what they did, they started not only just giving loan for agriculture and allied sector, they started giving the loan for non-agriculture or non-farming related activities also, whether it is long-term level or it is short-term level. So they are also providing from non-pharma sector, and Tamil Nadu was one of the first state started doing this thing. So that is why if you look here, they have mentioned they have mentioned here very clearly. The primary cooperative agriculture and rural development banks have again started lending for the non-pharma sector, including jewel loans. Right. So they have started this thing for brief period of time. They have stopped this thing, but again they have started this thing. So actually, why they have started, because of some problems were there in loopholes were there, so they have rectified those loopholes and they started again providing the non-farmer loans, right? So they means for the long term, they for the short term, they provide the loans for both kind of the activities, right? They provide the loans for the longer duration and they do provide the loans for the short duration, right? So this is the only difference we can see in terms of financing. Otherwise, structure wise, each and everything is almost same, and most of the time they work at the same roof, means under the same roof they work. Primary cooperative agriculture rural development bank and primary agriculture credit societies, they work almost under the same roof, right? Most of the states, but they have different desk, so that if the requirement is for the long term, you can go there, and if the requirement is for short term, you can accordingly go there. Okay. So in this way we have explained, I have explained the structure of cooperative banking in India. So now our entire structure of banking in India, structure of banking in India is over. We have started with this structure: banking, commercial banking, and other is development banks. So under the commercial bank, scheduled, or better, banking companies Here the banking companies, then cooperative banking. So under the banking company, non-scheduled, and then it will be scheduled. And under the schedule, they are like what? Under the schedule, there is public sector, private sector, then RRBs, LABs, small financial bank, and then it is payment bank. In cooperative banking, they are of what? In cooperative banking, first of all, urban and rural. In urban, again what? Here, long term. I already have this PDF. Means from this PDF, you can see that we have explained this structural, right? So we have explained this structure. So the structural part is over. The structural part of banking in India is over, right? Now let's focus on functioning part. Structure part is over. Now focus on functioning part. And under the functioning part, one thing we just have to clear so that it will be easier for you to understand the functioning of the bank. The first and most important part of banks functioning, especially in India, that is priority sector lending, right? So first let clear this part so that other part can be understand in the proper manner. So that's why I'm going to just first explain this priority sector lending part. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll open that PDF so it will be easier for you. Again, this document is based on uh, RBI's guideline. So actually, these are the RBI guidelines, but there is no need to read all those guidelines. I have taken this PDF for your better understanding, but in form of notes, I'll give you the crisp part only. Right. So first, understand what is priority sector. Why there is a need of priority sector. When India got independence, India was a what? A kind of agrarian economy. Right? India was an agrarian economy. Is still 65% population. 65% population lives in rural area. 65% population still lives in the rural area. And same kind of the proportion is also involved in the, if I talk about employment, right? Employment. So same kind of the situation is still here. Approximate 60% employment is generated through what? Agricultural sector, right? So there is a two kind of way. Either you can go for what? You can go for focusing on industry and their development only, or you can focus on both industries development plus at the same time focusing on this agricultural based economy in order to fulfill the requirement of rural part of India, right? So that is why RBI which is always a what, which is always on a forefront of what, which is always on the forefront of providing the development activities in India, supervise it, and wherever it is required, provide the credit and finance. For example, before NABARD, it was RBI who was involved in crediting to the cooperative sector or whatever the sector of the economy. But generally, banks, and especially commercial banks, they work for the profit. They work for the profit, so they are having less interest in rural requirements. Why? Because these rural requirements are not having good amount of profit, so that's why banks are generally not interested, right? So there is a need in terms of to push banks so that they can focus on also less profitable areas, less profitable areas, right? So for that, changes were made in, or you can say that since the beginning, there are some sections of Banking Regulation Act 1949 which force bank even to focus on certain less profitable area. For example, just giving an example, not exact figure, just give an example. Suppose that banks have 100 rupees to lend, right? Banks have 100 rupees to lend, so out of this 100 rupees, or whatever the money they have for lending, out of that money 40% they have to lend for priority sector. What is priority sector? The sector where there is less profitability. This is the philosophy of priority sector. So what is priority sector? Why it is called the priority sector? You have to give the priority. Actually, you don't want to give the priority to that sector because it is less profitable area. But government is pushing, RBI is pushing as a priority sector so that you can give more importance to that sector. So that is why the term is used as a priority sector, right? So it is a priority for the government, it is a priority for the RBI to develop those areas. So that's why they called it as a priority sector. Whereas banks, they don't want to consider that as a priority. But if banks are not going to take it as a priority, how the objective will be achieved? So that is why through the Banking Regulation Act, as well as sometime government also, sometime government also dictate कि this scheme should be implemented under the priority sector. This scheme should be implemented under the priority sector. So government say this thing, and RBI will issue the guidelines for priority sector, and then that area will come under this thing. Classic example is here at the last, or better to go there only. I'll explain you there, then I'll come to this point. So, for example, renewable energy. Renewable energy, right? So, renewable energy, what was not under the priority sector till then, 2005-6, right? 2005-6. But government, RBI, and even at international level, the renewable energy sector was considered as one of the important for the sustainable development and to mitigate the impact of climate change. Renewable energy sources are very important, right? So that is why this renewable energy is also renewable energy financing. Renewable energy financing was also included under the priority sector. So, generally, what is the philosophy of priority sector? These sectors are those sectors where the possibility of profitability is little bit less, and that is why banks are generally not interested, right? But government through legislation, through RBI guidelines, force banks to go for this priority sector lending, right? So what constitute priority sector? I have just means I have explained you the philosophy. Now let's go to those sectors which come under the category of priority sector. Number one, the most important is agriculture. So all kind of the agriculture related credit, whether it is individual or it is self-help group or joint liability group, these comes under the category of what? These comes under the category of priority sector lending, right? And here the things are mentioned: loans under the Kisan Credit Card scheme, loan under crop loans, crop loan, or medium term or long term agriculture activities. So all the activities of primary agricultural credit cooperative societies, they come under the category of priority sector lending. So all loans, right? All loans you can see here: stand alone solar agricultural pumps, renewable energy, Kisan credit. This is little bit significant from the point of view of exam. It is little bit more significant. So Kisan credit card scheme comes under priority sector lending, because sometimes students feel that it is a credit card, so maybe okay, some disruption was there. So again came back to this PDF. So all agriculture related financing comes under the category of priority sector lending, right? Including the ancillary sector, they also come under the category of priority sector lending. Small and marginal farmers are also come under the category of what? Small and marginal farmers also come under the category of this. Okay. Now micro, small, and medium enterprises. Micro, small, and medium enterprises also come under the category of Akshay. Yes, screen was by mistake, it was off. Now it's okay. Acha, do one thing. I'll share this PDF right now. Just read that PDF. Read that PDF. Then in the next class, I'll explain you few important points, because if you have not read this PDF, it is going to be a little bit difficult for you to wind it up, because I have to discuss few things here also. So I'll request you just go through this PDF. It's little bit long, means 6 pages are there, so 6 pages are not too much. Just read that PDF. If you have any doubt, I'll clarify those doubts, plus I will explain few things from my side also, right? Okay, is it okay? Okay, Akash. So I'm just going to share this PDF with admin, and he will send the PDF to all of you. You can read, and in the next class, I will explain in detail.